Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Kalil with Morning Chalk Up. And today on the show, we have Games athlete Jamie Simmonds. How's it going, Jamie?
Good, good, thank you.
So, where are you living now? You're traveling all the time, or it seems like you're traveling quite often. Where's home base right now?
So we're currently living in Cardiff in Wales in the UK. But at the moment, yeah, we're in Abu Dhabi just on a long holiday, getting ready for Dubai CrossFit Championships. Well, Elliot's getting ready for that. I'm just hanging out.
Oh, yeah. How is it hanging out? Do you kind of get the itch when you see him on the competition field? I know that he's been doing a lot of competitions lately and you've been supporting him as any wife would, but I can imagine that there's a little bit of a, oh man, I wish that I was out there too.
Yeah, definitely. It's not even like just competitions. It's even just like training and stuff. It will come into the gym and like he's got what like some lifting and then workouts and whatever. And
Mhm.
I'm like, cool, I'll be on the bike or doing my rehab in the corner. So it's even just like day to day when you're so used to doing it with him or alongside people training. It's hard, yeah. And then when you get to competitions, I'm like, it sucks being the coach or the person on the other side because it's so much more stressful than actually competing. But yeah, it is a bit tough. But it's for a season and get on with it.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about what's been going on with your injury. You've had some shoulder problems, it was dislocating, and then ultimately you had surgery. When did some of these shoulder issues start for you?
Well, it was during the open. I literally was doing some like accessory work just on one of the sessions in like between open workouts, like on Tuesday or something. And I was just doing some accessory work, like a dumbbell pullover, and it just literally just kept going and dislocated. And then my shoulder was up for like 3 hours maybe, and we went to A&E and they put it back in. And then from there, it was like, okay, I'm going to try just rehabbing it. Like maybe that was a
Mhm.
freak accident. I'm just going to rehab it. And so I did that for like 3 or 4 months. Like Elliot went through the normal season and stuff. And then I was coming back and it was crazy. I could do like all the gymnastic stuff again. I'd started lifting again and I went and did like a snatch. It was in like I'd already done maybe like 9 reps at like, I think it was like 145 pounds. And then just on the 10th one, it just like went a little bit behind me and just dislocated again. So it was just obviously waiting to happen again, but it was just kind of annoying that it was like 3 months down the track, like it could have already almost been like that far through recovery. So then from there, I was just like, I don't even want to risk that again. I need surgery. Like you can't compete in CrossFit at that level with a shoulder that might slip out. Whereas like if I was just, living everyday life, I could, live without doing snatches again. But if I want to compete, I was like, I need to get it done.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, how many of the open workouts did you actually get through before you kind of called it the end of your season?
Just two. So I did the 2 weeks and then the last workout was literally like the Wednesday before the last one was released. And then it was released. And it was like every gymnastics movement. So I couldn't even like try
Yeah.
just get through it. I was like, I can't really hang on a bar. So I had to pull out then. And I was kind of like, well, that season's gone. Maybe I can compete later in the year if the rehab goes well. Obviously didn't. In July, I dislocated it again. And it was like, okay, now I'm just going to go backwards again. I need surgery. And it's kind of like now the year's done at least now I getting surgery in July, I was able to like I can rehab around to next season.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, looking at, you had to pull out of the 2021 season. The 2020 season was very different given
Mhm.
the circumstances of the pandemic. The last time you've really been on the big stage was 2019. How is that, creating a fire within you to be ready for your next season?
Yeah, it's funny because like you almost forget what it's like to be at a competition or like be in that atmosphere. So obviously the first time I saw it again was when Elliot was competing because even he did all his comps online for the
Mhm.
2021 season. So seeing him compete in Spain, I was like, okay, this is why we do CrossFit, and it sort of like ignited that again. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually watching DCC and just seeing because obviously that's such a high level comp and always like well run and always good to watch. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and then I think that will be good momentum leading into next year.
So for you, how is recovery going for your shoulder? Do you have any sort of timeline for when you think you'll be able to seriously start competing and go into the next season? Are you looking at 2022?
Yeah, so I'm at 4 months now, and like I've got full range back, and I just need to keep on top of like physio and keep everything moving as it's still like healing. But now I'm back loading it, and it's just like building movements and slowly, like stability stuff. It's just not rushing it basically. So I still have like what, like 3 more months. So now it's just like I can build up to those movements slowly. And again, like the Open's going to come around. I don't need to be able to do everything like full throttle or whatever. I just need to get through those 3 weeks, and that's almost like another month. So it's just like I'm just trying to take it like little bits at a time so that I don't get into next season and just run myself into the ground again, and just sort of, you know, build up slowly. So yeah, it's plenty of time, and yeah, aiming 2022.
The season for 2022, it's very different than the last couple of years that you were able to make it to either stage one of the games or the actual games. What are your thoughts on the new format and how the season plays out?
I really like it. Like, I think it's very cool how you compete where you're from. It is very far away from me at the moment, so that's the only thing. So hopefully, like, I haven't been home for a while, so it is a good reason to get home and compete. Like, obviously, I'll go to New Zealand first and then compete in Australia. So I really like how they are doing that, but it's just not great if travel isn't, you know, sort of as smooth as it has been before. So I'm really looking forward to that. If travel's back to normal, I can't wait to compete in Australia and then go through from there, hopefully. But yeah, I think it's a good idea that. But if not, hopefully I can somehow squeeze into one of the Europe comps. We'll see.
When was the last time that you've been home and been able to see family in Australia?
To be fair, it wasn't. It was 2020 when we got married, so it was like literally just
Oh,
before the
wow.
pandemic. So I think it was January 2020. We had like the best holiday. Everyone came to New Zealand, and yeah, it couldn't have been better timing. So I can't complain about that. It's just tough because normally like my family would come out and come to the games or like come watch
Mhm.
me compete or come to Abu Dhabi. But but yeah, I only go home every few years anyway.
And how about the off-season format, having these opportunities to compete and potentially make money in competitions besides, the actual season? What are your thoughts on that structure? I mean, I know that Elliot is really taking advantage of some of that, and it gives him and maybe yourself eventually that exposure to competing more in person after having so many competitions be virtual.
Yeah, yeah. Like after the last year or two, it's kind of like anytime you get to compete in person, go for it. Like even if it's not one of those huge comps, because you always finish a competition where you've competed against people, even if it's like a smaller one, and you sort of see where you need to improve or like what went wrong here, and yeah, you learn a lot. And especially with like DFC, Rogue, all those competitions, it's such a high standard anyway that you're competing against the same guys, but you're not got that same like pressure on you. Like the games are just put on this pedestal as it should be, and that pressure sometimes makes you sort of do things you don't normally do. So I think it's really good prep throughout, and it's also good for like fans and like people who are injured and things like that because you can still follow along, and it's not just that one like what is
Mhm.
it by August every year. You've got throughout the year. It's really cool.
Your off season is looked very different. I don't even know that we can really call it an off season for you because since you had this shoulder injury and then surgery, rehab, how has this year been different for you in terms of how you're training, besides, of course, not really being able to use your shoulder in full range how you normally would?
Yeah, it's been obviously a very different year because, to be fair, this was the first year. So me and Elliot moved to Cardiff, and this is the first year that we went full time athletes. Like normally
Mhm.
we work and coach as well. So we moved to the UK like in wanting to do that, and then straight like it was like 2 months in or something, or a month in that I did this, and I was like, cool. What do I do with my time now? Normally I'm coaching or
Yeah.
at least a bit of weather here, coaching things like that. So that was really tough, just trying to find like sort of settle in, find a routine and not like always be in the gym, but like you meet really good people, and we met a lot of good people in Cardiff to sort of hang out with, and you learn other things. And yeah, it's basically just learning how to spread your time a little bit differently. But yeah, training wise, like it was crazy because like I built that back up again after the injury and then obviously surgery again. But that's almost like training in itself. So like you get surgery and then you sort of treat the recovery as like a training session. Like I'd have to go to saunas and do like the movement stuff, see physio way more. So you sort of like fill your time in a different way, but you just got to keep that like end goal in mind. Otherwise you just like, why am I doing this again? but no, it's one of those things. And like you get to the point where like I'll be excited that I could, you know, cut my dinner with both hands or whatever. So you got to take those.
Finally.
Yeah, finally I can use this hand for that, and or
Yeah.
like tie my own hair up. Like just when you get those little steps, you're like, okay, at least it's progressing somewhere. You got to take the wins where you can.
Has Elliot had to get good at doing your hair for you through all of this?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because this actually isn't my first shoulder surgery. So I had shoulder surgery 4 years before, but it was like a different surgery. And yeah, that's when he learned and he got good at it then. So then when it came around again, I said, oh, well, you already practiced.
Did you teach him any braids or other fun things, or just the ponytail?
No, we weren't on that level. It was like, no, you get your hair done once a day.
What is it like being married to another games athlete? I mean, the last time that you guys both were at the games was, I assume you guys were dating in 2019.
Yeah. So we're like the whole time we've been competing, we've been together. So I met Elliot in like 2014. So so to be honest, I don't know any different. Like it just makes life really, like we spend a lot of time together, obviously, because we train together, live together, used to work together. But yeah, I just don't know anything different. Like at least I think, you know, sometimes people try to juggle their time. They've got to be at home with family or at the gym, you know, split that up. But like I don't have to go out my way to sit at home because I see people in the gym or whatever, even though you maybe separate it a bit more. But yeah, it's good. I think it's a lot easier when we're both competing. I find it really hard when like supporting because there's only so much you can do. And I obviously care too much to be just a coach, but then it's hard to step back as well. So it's just finding that balance.
When you are both at the games, both competing, what does like a night after competition look like? Do both of you recap your performances, or is it at the point where you just want to talk about something else? Like, what are those conversations like?
Yeah, we never talk about like the day because it's like we were both there, both know what happened. So it is nice. We're pretty good at separating that. I think just because we've been together so long and that like we do have other stuff going on that it's like we talk about CrossFit stuff in the gym and, you know, competing and stuff. But then we have a lot of friends that aren't into CrossFit so much, and you know, you hang out with them and your brain goes elsewhere. So at least we do have that separation, because otherwise, I don't know, no one would want to hang out with us.
You have to have that balance somewhere.
yeah, definitely.
But when it comes to this past year, needing to be that 100% support system, not competing as well, what was that like?
Yeah, it was tough. Like, hats off to coaches. Like, obviously, I'm not ever in that side that much, and not even just coaches, just people who sort of, especially with all this online stuff, like people who sort out like cameras, judging, standards, all that stuff that I normally like someone else sorts for me, or someone else or Elliot does. He's a lot better at that than I am. But yeah, it's just crazy all that stuff that goes in behind the scenes that you don't realize so much. So I think like I've got a new appreciation for that. But yeah, as well, just having like being so invested in someone that you can't do, like I can't help him do a workout, you know. I can give him some tips at the start, but I'm not gonna, like, it's his body. So yeah, it's tough when you want to get involved. But I think sometimes when I'm competing, I have that distraction, and we try we don't, if we're competing in some comp, we won't watch each other, we won't really talk about the events, maybe just a few tips. But yeah, having that separation is normally really good. So I'm looking forward to that next year.
where you can be competing too. I can
Yeah,
only imagine that there had to be a little bit of FOMO and wanting to jump out there on the stage
yeah,
with him while he was working out and participate too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
When it comes to looking at moving forward once you're fully recovered, I know that back in 2017, you were on a team. Since then, you've been, or back in 2016, you were on a team. Since 2017, you've been competing individually. Do you ever think that you would go back to team? Is there anything that you miss about that? Or are you full steam ahead individual?
I don't know. Like I enjoy whatever, to be honest. Like I don't really plan too far ahead. I did enjoy, so I competed at Wadapalooza with Alec, Cody, and Jess on a team. And that was really fun. Like I'd never done four person until then. And four person again is different than six. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it has challenges of its own. And just even like, yeah, finding time with people that like, it's the commitment. Like you've got to all be together all the time, like, train together,
Mhm.
compete together, work together. That makes it tough. But yeah, I'm always open to anything. Like I try not to look too far ahead, especially after this year. It's literally just like I'm aiming for next year's season and see what happens after that. And then from there, yeah.
You mentioned that you've moved into this full-time professional athlete role, putting, other careers aside. But a couple weeks ago, I saw you tease something on Instagram, quintessential health and performance.
Yeah.
What kind of information can you give about this? It's like a new training program. What are you guys working on, you and Elliot?
Yeah. So like for years, I've worked alongside obviously Elliot, Anthony, myself, Andy, my coach, our coach. So we've sort of always done like we all do our own like programming for people, or I do nutrition for people as well. The boys have always programmed for CrossFit, yes, Vogue Fitness, like done a lot of individual programming, class programming. So they've just sort of like when we moved to the UK, we realized like normally we coach a lot of hours and program a lot of hours. So we had the spare time. So it was kind of like the boys are still running programs, they're still doing this and that. And then so now they're just basically putting it into a company properly and looking to launch that properly, probably January. But it's not like your competitors program because there's so many of them out there. They're really aiming at more like between classes, between competitors. There's going to be generic programming. There's going to be some ebooks. There's just going to be quite a bit of programming coming out with mostly from the boys because that's what they do day in, day out. Honestly, they love it.
Then is this for like the general public, or who are like some of the clients that you would be looking to target?
Yeah, so general public, we have like a lot of people in the Middle East, obviously, because all me and Elliot all worked here for 7 years.
Mhm.
So a lot of their clients are there. Elliot has a lot of like he has a big aim on female clients in the UK, which is random, but in the UK and here in the UAE. So it's more, your general public. But we'll release more on this and sort of like details on what's to come. But yeah.
Okay, when can we expect to have some more details? Any more teasers you can give us?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be about December with more structure coming out. There should be the website,
Okay.
and that should have all the information.
Oh man, you have us sitting on the edge of our seat waiting to see
Yeah,
what you guys are up to. When we saw that, me and some of my other coworkers at Morning Chalk Up, we were like, "Oh man, what are they thinking? What more
yeah.
info can we get?" But
We
we'll
literally
stand
just
by.
want to help people because, like, for years, like working at Yes and just sort of teaching people about health and fitness who had never sort of been involved in that before was just so rewarding. So it's more like we just want to give information of what we know and just get it out to people. Like, the more we can help, the better. It's literally just like that.
Would you say that that's the ultimate goal, is just helping more people?
Yeah, helping more people and just like the people who maybe are too frightened to go to the gym or too like haven't grown up with sport and fitness, just sort of get them in, get them moving, and then from there it's crazy seeing how quickly people can grow once they get that confidence. It's just they can just push through, and if you're determined enough you can reach whatever point you want. Yeah.
Oh, well, we will be looking for more information on that. Congratulations to you guys. That's awesome.
Thank you.
What are your plans for the 2022 season? Do you have a goal in mind of, how you're going to make your comeback? What are your thoughts right now?
Make it through. Make it through the season. No, I
That's a
think
good
like
place to start.
yeah. I think just moving it sort of put that pressure on us that like I felt really fit. Like I felt great that year, but obviously my body disagreed with that. So it's sort of just like making sure that I make the build right. Like trust myself that maybe during the open I don't need to be as fit or whatever as I was, or pushing the boat out that early, and sort of just waiting to sort of trust my coach, trust myself, and build up properly and get to the games in top form, basically.
All right, Jamie. Well, we will be watching you very closely. Good luck with the rest of your recovery. And thanks for catching up with us. It's great to hear that you're doing well.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll chat soon.